Present perfect continuous is one of those tenses that don't exist in many other languages. For example, in Slavic languages, we don't have them, we don't need them. On the other hand, present perfect continuous is not really that difficult to understand. Let's have a look into how it works and why we need that, why we need to use it in English. So let's start with something a little bit different, and that is present continuous, which would be something like I am waiting. In many other languages, you could say this and then add information about how long, for how long already. In English, however, you can say only I am waiting, and that means now. If you want to add the information about how long, you need to switch into present perfect continuous. So if you want to say something like for 15 minutes, then you would have to use present perfect continuous. I have been waiting for 15 minutes. And that's basically the whole thing about present perfect continuous. You use it for activities that are happening right now, and also you want to add the information about for how long it has been happening. So what you have to be careful with is that have is an auxiliary verb, and it changes its form. If you use third person singular as a subject, then you would say he has been waiting for 15 minutes. Similarly, and that's a little bit harder to realize, if you are asking about for how long something has been happening, you again have to switch into present perfect continuous. So it's very logical if you see it on paper, but then in the conversation it very often slips students' minds, and they just use present continuous, and that's not correct. So for example, you would ask something like, how long have you been waiting? And that makes it correct. In some cases, we cannot use present perfect continuous in a similar scenario. And that goes for state verbs. For example, have, like, love, hate, understand. In their basic meanings, they are state verbs, and with state verbs you cannot use continuous tenses. You cannot use present perfect continuous, obviously, either. So the only solution here is to use present perfect simple. And so, for example, you would say something like, I have had this laptop for 2 years. See, so the meaning is the same. I still have the laptop, and the state of having the laptop started 2 years ago. The same as the sentence before. I have been waiting for 15 minutes means that I'm still waiting, and I started 15 minutes ago. And it's really simple if you think of it. If you cannot use present perfect continuous, you use present perfect simple, and there you have it. Now, sometimes you will see present perfect simple used in sentences where normally you would expect present perfect continuous, and that's okay. If you say, for example, if you say, I have been working here for 10 years, or I have worked here for 10 years, both are okay. Both sound very natural, and they mean the same. So do not worry that much about that. I would just add that I have been waiting here for 15 minutes sounds a little bit more natural to me than I have waited here for 15 minutes, although they are both grammatically correct. Alright, so what you also have to be careful with is overuse. Now, sometimes when I force my students to use present perfect continuous in the situations when it is needed, they sometimes start using it also in situations when it is not necessary or when it doesn't make much sense. So, for example, if I ask you, what are you doing? And you say, imagine that I'm on the phone and I'm asking you, what are you doing? And you would say, I've been walking the dog, or I've been working. Now, that changes the meaning slightly, and it's not necessary. You probably want to say, I am walking the dog, or I am working, and that makes much more sense. So do not overuse it, and use it only in situations when it is necessary, when it makes sense, when you really want to say, I have been walking the dog for 15 minutes, or something like that. You need to add the information about time. So be careful about this. And through this, we will get to another use of present perfect continuous, and it is really the use that can be without the time reference, time information. And that would be, for example, this sentence. I have been playing tennis. So here, obviously, if you want to use present perfect continuous normally, after what we've said, you would say something like, I've been playing tennis for 15 years. Or in a different context, it would be for half an hour. But also, you could say, I've been playing tennis and now I'm tired. And it actually means that you have already finished playing tennis, but you feel tired because you spent so much time playing tennis. So in this scenario, which is not the basic use, the basic use really is with a time period, a time reference, with the information about how long it has been happening. So this is a little bit advanced use of present perfect continuous, and you use it to illustrate what was happening before a little while for some long period of time, but it is finished, and now you see the consequences or results of that activity. So, for example, I am tired because I have been playing tennis. Bob is dirty. He's been working in the garden. So here, the information about time, about how long it has been happening, is not necessary, and it still makes sense. So let's summarize it a little bit. The basic use of present perfect continuous is for activities which are still happening, and you want to say for how long they have been happening. The other use of present perfect continuous that we have talked about today is the long activity with some effect, and we do not have to use the information about how long it has been happening. And if you cannot use present perfect continuous, you can use present perfect simple. Although, if you think of it, present perfect continuous is actually easier than present perfect simple, because with present perfect simple you have to know all the third forms of the verbs. Like you have to say, I have sung, and present perfect continuous would be, I have been singing. So it's actually easier because you have just an ing form of the full meaning verb there. And as I said, do not overuse it.